Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple paper lantern that you could use for the lantern walk. And I'm going to show you how to make that really quickly. So you are going to need, in order to make that, so you can see the lantern itself, it stands up like this. So you are going to need for this a piece of paper. And for my lantern here, I actually used a painting. So use a painting as something that that your child has done or you have done, and you want to use the painting instead, you may use the painting. Or a thicker piece of paper, which I have here, and I'm going to use this because it will be a lot easier for you to see the folds. You'll also need some scissors, a glue stick or some regular liquid glue, and a pen or a pencil. Pen would be easiest. And then for the handle, I used some floral wire, so that's what I did here. But you could also use a hanger, some string, anything simple just to make this little handle part here. I used floral wire, which I doubled up on, and I'll show you how to do that. You'll want a thicker piece of paper, and I chose a very big piece of paper just for you to be able to see what we're doing with the folds, but your paper doesn't need to be quite this big. And that alternatively, again, if you want to use a painting, you may. Before you get started on making this, if you'd like, you can color this with some fall colors. You could also put a leaf underneath of here, and then do some leaf rubbings over top of this to make this look really beautiful before you get started. So a couple of ways to make it look really beautiful. So I have a long edge here and a shorter edge. And the first thing I'm going to do is on the shorter edge, I'm just going to fold over a small tab. This is going to come in handy to glue it together in the end. So I'm going to fold over a small tab. Everything you're folding, just make sure it has a really nice crease to it. That will help. And now I have, sort of minus this tab over here, this paper. I'm going to fold the paper in half toward the tab, right into that tab there. So there's the edge of my paper going right into the tab, and I'm going to fold it right in half. And again, all your creases nice and firm with your creases. So I folded that in half, and then I'm going to take that and again fold it in half toward the crease there. So I'm kind of making a long, skinny fold, and I'm really going to make that crease firm. I'm going to open that up, and what you should have is 4 sections to this, right? And here's the tab that I've made here. So I have this in 4 long, skinny sections now. And then at the bottom of those 4 skinny sections, I'm going to take my scissors and just make a small cut along each of those fold lines. Right there, just maybe an inch or so. And on that 3rd line here, I'm going to just make a cut right along that crease. And now I have these sections here kind of coming up. Also going to, right where I made that crease, make a small incision as well, about an inch, right along that first crease I made as well. And where I've done that along the bottom, I'm then going to fold up those edges, just like this, kind of making little tabs, folding up those edges. Folding up those edges, and then the 4th one. So they're all sort of sitting up now, just like that. And so the first thing I want to do to, this will become the box parts at the bottom. And so for right now, I'm just going to leave those. And what I want to get next is kind of this pointed design on each side, right? And it gives your lantern a little bit of depth that's really nice. But you don't necessarily have to do these folds if they feel too complicated, or you're doing this with a really small child. But I'm going to show you how to do them in case you would like to include them and give a little bit of depth to your lantern. So each one of these sections we're going to fold into a kind of an X shape. So we're going to fold right to the point here, and I'm kind of in each box doing, kind of finding the point at the bottom right here and folding it right to there, and finding the point right at the top here as well. Oh, this is where I first creased it. And that'll give me a nice straight kind of diagonal right across the middle. You see, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I'm going to do that again here. So I'm going to fold my paper over like this. So get a right to the point there, to the tip. You can see what I'm doing, right to the tip. Right to the point there. Okay, so I get this diamond design in that first box. And I'm going to do that again for this box, and this box. I'm creating a diamond shape in the middle by making a fold in the paper twice along the paper. And this just gives it really depth to it, so it kind of has a fun shape. And then you have this little diamond design in the middle, if you can see that. Like that. And I'm going to, again, go back over these creases and really make them nice and firm. Really go along the edges firmly. So get this nice, even along the edges that I first made. Make all of my creases really nice. I'm going to do 2 more in here, the diamond shapes that I've done in each of these boxes. So folding here and folding here, folding here and folding here. And I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so now you can see I have these four thin little sections, and they all have a diamond kind of fold in them, if you can see that. I've been folded on the diagonal along all 4 of these spots here. And then I still have along the bottom these tabs. So the next thing I'm going to do is fold the box in on itself. You can kind of take a look at what that looks like. Once it's kind of folded in on itself. And there it is, kind of folded in on itself now. And so all I'm going to do is go along the bottom of these tabs here and put some glue, taking my glue stick, and I'll glue along the bottom. And again, this hasn't been glued, so it's just popping open. I'm going to glue along the bottom to glue these tabs down. Now, so here and here, these are the tabs I made in the beginning. We'll glue those down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly, just taking a glue stick in these spots here and these spots here and here, and then folding the tab down. Okay, so I'm going to do that and come back. So now I've glued these bottom pieces together. The tabs on the bottom have some wet glue. And sometimes that doesn't want to stay, or the glue doesn't hold very well. So I usually put something heavy down in here to hold it. So I have this big bottle of glue. And while it's drying, just let that sit inside of my lantern to help it dry a little better. Okay. And then while that's drying, I'm going to show you the other part. We made this tab. This was our tab we first folded in the beginning, and the reason that we did that now is you can see that's going to be our tab to then fold that very fourth, that end corner there. Okay. So then I will take some glue along this edge here, right here, and I'm going to glue this together like that, right along its edge, so it makes a nice corner. So that'll be the next step I do, and then I'll come back. Okay, and this is it finished. This is the edge we just glued here, all glued, and this is the bottom, all glued as well. So this is kind of what it looks like all finished on each side, and then this is the opening here, and this is where you put you can find an electric candle or something to put in here for your lantern. The final step is you want to put a handle on it, something you can carry it with. And I just take at this top edge, I'll do one on each side, and I'm going to use a pen to do it, one here and one here, and make just a small hole. Just a small hole on each side. Then For me, again, I used this floral wire, so I would pull some of this out, a length of it that would be good enough for a handle, and wind it around each side here. I have one on each side, and I just kind of make a loop around the top that's, you know, long enough for you or your child to hold, like this. You can also use some string or some yarn or a clothes hanger. A small piece of clothes hanger would work for this, as long as it's, you know, safe and not too sharp. And that's where the handle would go. And again, this is your lantern all complete. You're looking at it sort of from the side, since my camera angle. And then this is the inside of it. You can put a little tea light inside of there. I would suggest an electric one, just a bit safer in a paper lantern. And then finally, if you'd like, you can also on one of these edges, if you'd like, cut out a small hole in a circle or a square. You can do that on all sides if you'd like, or just one or two. And then add a little bit of wax paper. If you take a section of wax paper underneath of that hole, and glue it underneath of that hole, then you'll have a window inside of your lantern as well. Will just look really beautiful. So again, whatever paper you're using, before you get started, if you do a crayon rubbing or use a painting, or just draw some beautiful colors on it, that works really well too, because then it makes just a beautiful beautiful design. And then when you put your tea light inside of these things with colors, right, then you'll get all the beautiful colors with the lantern. So I hope that you enjoy making this, and I hope you come up with a beautiful lantern when you're finished. Happy lantern making.